In this video, I will provide you with another way you can save a few dollars when building a house and using tongue and groove or shiplap instead of plywood or OSB for the overhang. And in this example here, we have 1x8, but you can see that we have a small strip here. And this is only going to be if you have to break the sheathing over a block and have a specific length for the roof overhang. Some building codes might not require that. And if that's the case, you won't have to notch around the sheathing here. You can run a full piece here. And another thing I want to point out, even though this isn't something that's going to save you a few dollars, but will provide you with a nicer view from the bottom. And that will be anytime you change directions like we did here with our tongue and groove sheathing. So this might not look that horrible. However, all you need to do to fix it will be to break the sheathing over a block or over one of your lookouts like we did here. So all we did was made this a little shorter and these a little longer to solve that problem. Another thing you could do will be to run the boards in the same direction. However, something like this usually requires a little more work. And as a track home builder, I rarely saw that. This was not going to be common. However, I have seen it done that way plenty of times. And now for the suggested tip in the video. All I'm going to suggest is that you use the sheathing measurements to calculate the length of your overhang instead of using what the architect might have on the plans. For example, the architect might call out for an 18-inch, a 24-inch, or a 30-inch roof overhang. And I get it, if that needs to be that, you can still ask the architect if you can mix and match some of the lumber until you get close enough to save a few dollars. And I'll provide you with some examples of that here in a few seconds. But first, I want to show you what I'm talking about. If I reduce the length of the overhang just a little bit, I can get rid of the small strip and avoid wasting additional lumber. Now, if you do cut this, make sure that you're aware of this problem right here. And this problem could be solved by simply moving this board down a little bit. Or it can be solved by leaving the tongue and groove alone on this section of the sheathing. So in other words, you would rip this last board down, get rid of the tongue or get rid of the groove until you get to this point here. And then leave the groove or the tongue, whatever side you're going to be using to make this section work here. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at what I mentioned earlier. Instead of using the same sized boards, you can mix and match some of these boards to arrive at a variety of different lengths. And you can even cut one board in half. Here I took one of the 1x8s and cut it in half so that I could have a square edge on both sides. And something like this might depend upon lumber available in your area. Because if you don't have any 1x6 or 1x8 or 1x4 shiplap or tongue and groove, then you're not going to be able to create this overhang. And of course you will have to deal with that accordingly. So here we have a 1x4 and a 1x4 at the end, 1x8, 1x6. And on our next one, we have a 1x6, 1x8, 1x4, 1x8. So again, we're just simply mixing and matching until we can get at a better number and something that's not going to produce a lot of waste. And these are things I rarely come across. Even this one here, I rarely come across something as simple as this, where you can simply rip one of the boards in half and place one at one end and the other at the other end to create square sides that are going to be easier to nail, provide us with a little more structural strength. And it might not split as easy when we're nailing the sheathing to our blocks.